Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Aid Community Meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started. Brenda Burgess will be joining us very shortly. I am Wanda White, and I'll be leading the meeting until Brenda arrives this morning. First, we'd like to go over a few housekeeping rules and also to share our agenda with you. This morning, we have some announcements that we want to share, and we also have some special guests that will be joining the meeting. Laura Coverhouse and Grant Kennedy from the State Employees Credit Union will be providing an update to the financial aid community this morning. In addition to that, I, along with Arlena Ratcliffe, will be sharing some information with you in regarding to Golden Leaf and a survey that'll be coming out very soon. We'll also provide an update regarding the Longleaf Complete grant that we'll be reporting on in a few days. And in addition to that, Brenda is going to share information with you in regard to scholarship reporting and updates. And as usual, we'll have an opportunity to share some questions and answers as well as some resources with you during the meeting. So we're going to begin first by just telling everyone to please mute your phones. Do not place this session on hold. Add any questions that you might have to the chat box so that we can review them and answer them at the end of the presentation. We want you to stay engaged throughout the session. So if you have any questions, jot them down or just include them in the chat box. We are recording the session, and this recording will be sent out to you a little bit later on today. So we're going to go ahead and begin with just a few announcements. First, most of you know that the NACASPA conference is coming up April 3rd through the 6th. It will be held in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. And we hope that you will get a chance to participate. We are wanting to make all of you aware of the Directors Summit. We understand that we have quite a few new financial aid directors within the community college system, and we encourage you to come out and register for the Directors Summit as well as participate. I will be doing a session during the summit on succession planning, which has been priority within the North Carolina Community College system within the last 5 years. So we encourage you to come out. Also, the 2-year public sector meeting will be held on April the 4th from 4 to 5 p.m., which is on Monday. Brenda and I will be there to talk about some of the key issues that we've been covering over the last several months. There's also going to be a session conducted later on this afternoon by NACASPA to obtain information from you in regard to those questions that you might have relating to the 2-year caucus that's coming up. So we encourage you, if you can, to participate in that and share any questions that you have. In addition to that, the Financial Aid Leadership Academy is coming up. We have a few announcements in regard to that. Brenda has just joined us, so I'll go ahead and share that we have a few vacancies as it relates to the Leadership Academy. We're looking for individuals to join the Financial Aid Advisory Council that provides information to the Academy on topics of importance and other issues. So we want to make sure if there are those of you that are out there that know of individuals in student services or a VP for business and finance that would like to serve as a representative on this committee, we would love for you to call or email Brenda Burgess at that time. In addition to that, Brenda will be sharing with you more information as we move along in regard to the Leadership Academy. So I'm going to turn it over to her now, and she will continue, and I'll be back with you a little bit later in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience this morning. I just want to just piggyback on what Dr. White has just stated. We are in need of, I am in need of some members for my Leadership Academy, the Advisory Council. So if you are interested, or if you know someone from your business office, your student services area, even VPs, we're welcoming, I'm open to any suggestions that you may have. To just move on now, let's go on with our program. We do have some guest presenters this morning. I am happy to present to you this morning from our State Employee Credit Union Foundation, People Helping People, for the scholarship program, Laura Culverhouse, who is the Vice President of the State Employees Credit Union Foundation, and Mr. Grant Kennedy, Program Analyst for the State Employees Credit Union Foundation. We're going to turn the mics on and over to them at this point. They have a presentation for you, so let's turn it over to them.
Thanks, Brenda. Just want to make sure, can you hear us all right?
We can hear you, Grant.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys for having us today. We're excited to be with you. As Brenda said, my name is Grant Kennedy, and I'm a program analyst with SECU Foundation. I just started working here with the foundation in January, so I recognize some of the names here on this call, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you more as we work with these scholarships in the coming months. Our presentation is going to be about 20 minutes, and so we do have a slide where we'll start taking some questions, but if something pops up in your head and you want to put it down in the chat to make sure that we address it at the end, please feel free to do so. And if it does seem like really pertinent to what we're talking about at the time, then we'll go ahead and address it then. Before we do get started, I just wanted to say that we are really excited to partner with you guys. We don't have to tell anybody that the price of everything is going up right now. It is so expensive to just live right now. So we appreciate the work that you guys are doing and providing, quality education at an affordable price, and hopefully helping our students come out with as little debt as possible. So we're excited to partner with you guys on that. And we're just going to be talking all about our People Helping People scholarship today. So Brenda, if you will go to the next slide. All right, perfect. So this is just a general overview of our scholarship criteria. State Employees Credit Union motto is People Helping People. And so our scholarship was born in 2004 just to get after that concept. So we provide 2 $5,000 scholarships to each of the 58 community colleges each year. And those scholarships are divvied out at $1,250 per semester for up to 4 semesters for these students. So the main eligibility criteria that we have for the scholarship is that the student has to be a full-time student who is a high school graduate or who has completed the GED program. And so we're looking for applicants who have at least a 2.5 GPA or have scored a 3,000 on the GED test. In addition to that, we're looking for applicants who are U.S. citizens, residents of North Carolina, and eligible for in-state tuition. So this is not a needs-based scholarship, but we are going to provide some things to look for in helping you make these selections. And then it's also not necessarily an academic scholarship, although the 2.5 GPA or higher is required. So we're looking to recognize students who demonstrate leadership, integrity, community involvement. And you'll notice that on the student data form that we submitted, there is an essay that the students are required to fill out to highlight some of those maybe intangible things. And so on March 2nd, we sent out an email to each of the community colleges, and lots of the stuff that we'll be referencing is in that email. So if you don't think that you received it, please check your spam. But if you definitely didn't receive it, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to provide that and all the materials that were in it. Brenda, will you go to the next slide, please? So this is just kind of a highlight of what I said, the number of scholarships that we award and the money for each semester. But I did want to draw your attention to the image at the bottom left. So this is just kind of an example of what we send out at the beginning of each semester. And you'll notice that it highlights that there are 4 recipients. So great job from Halifax Community College for having all 4 recipients. And these guys actually all met the eligibility requirements. So we were able to give them their scholarship payment for the spring 2022 semester. So this is also to highlight, we are looking for you guys to be selecting 2 new recipients for the fall 2022 semester. So when we send out the rosters to verify that they're meeting the eligibility requirement, in this coming fall semester, you'll see students who were awarded in fall 2021, and then the new students who you elected in fall 2022. All right, will you move on, Brenda? Thank you. So we did mention those hard and fast criteria that we have, but these are also some other things that we'd like for you to consider when you're choosing your recipients for the scholarship. So we ask that preference be given to students who have identified a financial need. And the way that they're doing that is they're selecting on a drop-down on the student data form that they do have financial needs and that they have submitted a FAFSA form. So we're not asking that, we receive those FAFSA forms or that you guys check up on them to make sure that they definitely have. They're just self-selecting that they have, and that's how they demonstrate the financial needs. So your responsibility is only to confirm that they've indicated, yes, they have submitted FAFSA. And then you'll also notice that we have added a couple of questions for this year where we're asking them to identify if they're a first-generation college student or if they have other siblings who are currently attending college. So that will help you also kind of get at whether or not the student may have a financial need. So preference, we also ask the preference be given to students whose parents or guardians or family members are public sector employees living and working in North Carolina. So it's not a requirement again, but just ask that you consider that when you're making your selection. Given the State Employees Credit Union, that's something that's, dear to our hearts. And in addition, we ask that you consider how much other aid a student is receiving, just whether or not that will factor in of how much they need it. And then I believe that is all. As I said, that on that essay, that's where they'll also highlight kind of their involvement in the community and whether or not their profile kind of fits what we're looking for this scholarship. But ultimately, it's you guys who will decide that. These are just preferences that we ask you to consider. Next slide, please, Brenda. And I am actually not seeing it on here. Have you moved on to the next slide, Brenda?
Are you on selection submission prior to that?
Well, I'm not seeing it, but I just want to make sure. Does it say selection committee and selection letter on there now?
Sorry, I think I jumped ahead a slide for you. Grant? The one that we have on the screen is selection committee and selection letter.
Perfect. I see it now. Thank you so much. All right, so you guys will be forming a selection committee at your community college. And this selection committee will be in charge of administering, advertising, and selecting the 2 new recipients for the fall 2022. And we also included in that March 2nd letter, that March 2nd email, a flyer to help you just kind of advertise it. But the selection committee is formed of 3 members, and it's up to you guys to determine how you select those members. It has to be 3, can be more. If you want to use just members of your financial aid office, then that's great. If you have a bit of a smaller financial aid office and you want to bring in, people from other departments you work closely with, that's perfectly fine too. It's completely up to you. Just has to be 3. And then for those of you guys who have been helping us with these scholarships in the past, if you don't mind maybe providing in the chat who makes up your selection committee, then that might be helpful for people who are doing this for the first time to get an idea of who they might include in theirs. But so once the students have submitted their scholarship materials, then the selection committee reviews and then ultimately makes the final determination of which 2 students will be awarded the scholarship. So once you guys have identified those 2 recipients, you'll send us a statement identifying your recipients, and it must be signed by all members of the selection committee, and it has to be on your community college's letterhead. And just for clarification, it's the community college's letterhead and not the community college foundation's letterhead if you have one of those. And then you guys will email those confirmations to us. We will just check through and make sure that we have everything and it checks all the boxes, and then we'll let you know that, we verify them and you can let them know that they've been chosen as recipients. So please don't let anyone know that they've been recipients until we've verified that we have everything that we need. And thank you, Meredith, for providing us with yours. So it says faculty and staff from various departments. The Zilma says that they use financial aid committee selected each year by the president and the executive team. That's awesome. And then thank you, Sean, too, for providing yours. So maybe if this is your first time doing that, then look through the chat and get some ideas from these guys and their experience. All right, Brenda, next slide, please. All right, so we have chosen August 1st as our deadline for submissions of these recipients, but you guys will probably want to come up with an internal deadline for your college, just so that you make sure that you have all the materials and you're giving your selection committee enough time to make these decisions. So you guys will submit by no later than August 1st. We'll verify it, and then we'll let you guys know that you can announce it to your recipient. And then over the past couple of years, we haven't really been able to send SECU representatives out into the community as you guys award these scholarships. But at least the way the high school scholarships are trending, it's looking like we're able to do these in person again. So we're hoping that we'll be able to send SECU representation for your award ceremonies as well. So when you guys submit your recipient, there's a part on the student data form where you'll include the date, time, and location of your award ceremony, so that hopefully we can send some SECU representatives out to congratulate and give certificates to those students. All right, Brenda, next slide, please. All right, so these are the required scholarship materials. We've got the student data form, and then please note that for the student data form, it must be typed in a Word document, providing the drop downs, and that's so that the Word document can talk to the database that we're using. It's very specific. So please don't send it as a PDF or a Google Doc or any other shared drive. We are looking into perhaps enhancing our software. So hopefully maybe by spring 2023 we'll be able to utilize that. It'll be better for all involved. But for the time being, please send that as a Word document. And then you also have to send the selection committee letter, as I said, signed by all members on college letterhead. And then we do require that the students fill out a consent form, and if that student happens to be under 18 years old, not only would they have to sign it, but the parent would have to sign it as well. One little change that you'll notice if you've been doing this for a few years, we're no longer requiring a photo ID. Brenda had told us that might slow down the process a little bit with trying to get the right, type of photo and the platform being used. So we scrapped that. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier. All right, next slide, please, Brenda. All right, so we talked about the selection committee. Now we'll talk about the facilitators. So we have one person specifically who's listed at each community college as being our facilitator. So this is typically the first person that we'll reach out to if we have a question or just to have general communication with you guys. If you're unsure who we have listed for facilitator, or if you know that that information has changed quite recently, then please reach out to us and let us know. Those facilitators are also the people who we included on that email on March 2nd. So if that information is no longer up to date, that might be why you may not see that you've received that email from March 2nd. So just let us know. But the role of the facilitator is to communicate program changes with all levels of the application process. It's to ensure that scholarship is advertised. So like I said, we included a flyer in there, so that, but then also posted to any other, websites or boards that you guys post scholarship information to. The facilitator is the one who we count on to establish that selection committee, as well as to communicate the selection committee's final decisions to us. And so we'll go back and forth receiving that and then verifying that. Then they'll also serve as a point of contact, like I said, for if we have any questions. And it's a two-way street. Please, send us questions too. And even though I'll probably be the first person that you hear from, Laura is still around. I'm sure that most of you guys have had communication with her over the past few years. And then we have a great team at SECU Foundation who, if you call and neither of us happen to be around, they'll still help you get squared away. So our goal is to try to help make this as easy as possible for you and as pleasant as possible, and then ultimately for all of us to help these students. All right, next slide. Brenda, did you change it to the timeline?
The timeline.
Okay. So this is just a suggested timeline. So March and April, we'd like for you guys, if you haven't already, to establish your selection committee and come up with the process for choosing those recipients. By no later than April, we'd like you to make sure that you've communicated that process and all the pertinent information to the people who will be involved along the way. And then in that March 2nd email, we sent you guys an eligibility criteria and operating procedures document. And so that'll kind of give you the list of the things that are required, what we're looking for, and all that good stuff. So late spring through early summer, you guys will be receiving scholarship applications, reviewing them, and still communicating it out depending on what your number of applicants look like. And then in July, you'll really want to start honing in on who your applicants are and starting to get the committee to come together and make a decision on those so that you can meet that August 1st deadline to submit to us. And again, please don't announce your winners until we've confirmed that we have everything that we need to verify them. All right, and so that'll bring us to the questions section. And And then let me just read through here and see. I see that, Jason, you did ask at the very end. Oh, there it is right there, is our email address and our contact information, just in case you guys need to get a hold of us. Do you guys have any other questions for us? And since I started in January, I'm sure I missed something. So Laura, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, you hit the highlights. I know that we've gone over a lot of information. Some of this is just review for a lot of you. Some of it may be brand new. So if you need time to sit and go through the materials and think about it and think of a question later, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to try to answer any questions that you have and understand that you may not be able to process everything we've just kind of thrown at you just quickly to say, ooh, I have a question on this.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Pam Ballou. I'm with Nash Community College. We have in the past normally selected a student or students who are recent high school graduates. Does the recipient have to be a recent high school graduate? Because a lot of our population is in that quote unquote adult learner category.
So no, it does not have to be a recent graduate. And that's kind of why we say they either have to have a high school education or have gotten their GED. This isn't specific to just high school students. So anyone that meets that criteria of being full-time enrolled, looking for that associate's degree that has a 2.5 or higher GPA. You may not know at the very beginning if this is an adult learner coming in about that GPA, but you know, if they've got that education to kind of start and gets that GPA during that first semester and continue to have it, we're good to consider them.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you, Laura, and also Grant for that information today. If there are any questions beyond this point, I ask that our listeners will put it in the chat and we will forward them to you if it's something that we can't answer. But again, I do want to thank you all for taking the time today to just speak about the State Employee Credit Union People Helping People Foundation Scholarship. So we are going to move along now to our Golden Leaf Scholarship updates with Dr. Wanda White and Arlena Ratliff from the Golden Leaf Foundation.
Good morning again to everyone. I just have a few Golden Leaf Scholarship updates, and then I'm going to ask Arlena Ratliff from the Golden Leaf Foundation share any comments and updates that she has. First of all, most of you know that the system office has been monitoring the Golden Leaf Scholarship spending for the last 3 months. We started reviewing the spending, I would say, in early January. We did notify colleges this month who had a low percentage of GL award made that we needed to hear from them. We also needed to find out if they were going to spend their total allocation or if additional funding would be returned back to the system office. The deadline for that was March 15th. And so we have heard from a few colleges just updating us on the status of their Golden Leaf spending. In addition to that, we asked the colleges to identify the amount of funds that they wanted to reallocate back to the system office, as well as what they were actually going to spend. In regard to the monitoring process, one of the processes that I've used that's been so beneficial to the system office is the Golden Leaf Scholarship Dashboard. I would encourage you to go out to the Golden Leaf Dashboard to just take a look at what we're looking at when we're seeing how much money you're spending. There is an area on the Golden Leaf Dashboard that has to do with your expenditures and transmittals. And if you click on that area and also the 21-22 2-year financial aid year in progress, you'll be able to see what we see in terms of how much money you've spent, what your percentages are for the year. In addition to that, you can look at Golden Leaf Awards by college for the 21-22 year and find out information as well. You can click on percentages and identify the percentage that you've awarded in Golden Leaf. Each month, the Golden Leaf Scholarships monthly award totals are submitted to the system office through our business office. It's usually around the 15th of the month, and so at that time, we're able to see updates from the prior month. So you'll be hearing from us very soon. Some of the colleges are doing extremely well in terms of spending your money. We can see those awards going up, and we're very pleased to see that. But those of you who may be a little bit lower than the half mark will probably be reaching out just to make sure that you're on target as well. So again, I guess the best thing that I can say is that most of you are doing a great job. The colleges who have awarded small amounts have indicated that they will be awarding their funds, and so we're extremely excited about that. The next thing that I wanted to, before I talk about Longleaf Complete, I want to ask Arlena, well, no, I'm not going to get them ahead of myself, because I want to talk about the Golden Leaf survey, probably the last thing that I talk about. So Arlene, if you're on the call, just please hold on and let me finish with the Golden Leaf, a few more things that I wanted to share in reference to Longleaf Complete grant. Okay, so with the Longleaf Complete grant, in our last meeting, I want to say it was February 23rd, we talked about Longleaf Complete monthly reporting, and many of the colleges that were on the call had indicated that they were awarding their CARES Act funding and other funding before Longleaf Complete, and that they were going to get to it in the summer or in the fall of 2022. I just want to remind you that if you have started awarding Longleaf Complete, that we will be reaching out to you monthly if your award totals show up on the business transactions that we receive. We will be reaching out to the colleges to ask you to provide the number of awards that you're making to colleges, to your students on your campus. We are required to report to the governor's office each month the amount of funds that you're awarding in Longleaf Complete, as well as the number of students that you are making those awards to. So we encourage you to, as soon as you can, to go ahead and begin that process, and also to look for emails from me asking and confirming the amount that shows up on our Longleaf award reports. And I would just ask that once you get an email from me, if you would just send your confirmation back as soon as possible. The awards have to be submitted to the governor's office by the 25th of each month. Next, the last thing that I wanted to talk about has to do with the Golden Leaf survey. We will be partnering with the Golden Leaf Foundation to send out a survey to North Carolina Community College financial aid administrators. We're hoping to send that out today, but no later than March the 17th. The survey will ask questions on the following topics: your institution's familiarity with Golden Leaf, the importance of Golden Leaf to students, college Golden Leaf processes, training, and challenges that you might have in terms of awarding Golden Leaf. This information is going to be very valuable to the system office as well as Golden Leaf, because it will help us not only monitor the programs as we're doing now, but also identify challenges and create initiatives and training information that would help you better serve us and the students on your campus as it relates to Golden Leaf. In addition to that, our survey deadline is March 25th. We are requiring that all colleges complete the survey and transmit that back to us by March 25th. If you have any problems or questions, we encourage you to reach out to me, Wanda White, as well as you can reach out to Brenda Burgess here at the system office, and we will address those questions. If you have difficulty in awarding Golden Leaf, then there are some colleges that have established some great practices, and so we encourage you to reach out to them as well. But again, the deadline is March 25th. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you. I'm going to pause right now to ask Arlena Ratcliffe from the Golden Leaf Foundation if she would like to share a few words with you. Arlena, are you on?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. White and Brenda, for the invitation, and to the financial aid community for all the hard work that you all are doing. Just want to add a little to what Dr. White mentioned. We certainly don't want to add to your plate. We know that you all are busy. So when we say another survey, Golden Leaf truly intends to use the feedback that you all give us to implement and to look at our current practices and, make changes wherever that's needed. Our goal is to support students by providing access to our scholarship. And so we really want to hear more about the challenges, the successes, ideas that you all have so we can ensure maximum utilization of our scholarship award. At the end of the survey, there is an opportunity for you to indicate if you would like to participate in a follow-up focus group where we'll partner again with the North Carolina College System, the systems office, and sort of dig into some of the feedback that you all give us about the scholarship and our processes. So again, thank you all so much in advance for all of the good nuggets and knowledge that you're going to share with us. We're excited.
Thank you, Arlena. We're so pleased to be able to work with you on this survey. And as indicated, we'll look forward to getting the responses back from the colleges as soon as possible, or at least by March 25th. At this time, we've got a few questions in the chat box. I'm gonna ask Dr. Evans to read them to me, and we're gonna respond to them.
Good morning, everyone. So the first question for those who are on the phone is, I've asked our business office if the additional funds for Golden Leaf as well as the NC Child Care Grant have shown up on the 112, and they have not. Do you know when colleges will see those funds hit our accounts?
Okay, there is a process. First of all, thank you for that question, because there is a process for awarding additional funds when they become available. One of the things that we've done in order to identify what additional funds will be available to reallocate in Golden Leaf is that we've reached out to our community colleges that had a low award percentage to see if they were going to, in fact, be able to award their allocation. And for those that could not, we asked that they send those reallocation funds notification to us by February the 15th. So as of February the 15th, we started receiving acknowledgments from community colleges in regard to the amount that they are spending. We also have prepared a required memo to the system office chief financial officer as a draft to indicate any potential allocations that we will make should the funding be available. As of right now, we have not made any reallocations, and when we do, you will receive a notification from the system office, from the student service office, telling you that we've been approved to reallocate a specific dollar amount to the colleges. Our next review time to see what those colleges have spent, what all colleges have spent in Golden Leaf, will probably be within a few days. We normally get a notification from the business office around the 15th, just telling us what funds were awarded by colleges in the prior month. So we anticipate being able to notify colleges, I would say by the end of the month, in terms of what funds will be reallocated. Again, the funds that we reallocate are based on the dollar amount that colleges cannot spend, and that they notify us that need to be reallocated to other colleges. So right now we don't have a final dollar amount on that. So what we will do is we will send out a notice prior to the end of the month. We were hoping that we could notify colleges earlier than that, but something really great is happening right now. And I say that because we started out with colleges awarding Golden Leaf very slowly, but those numbers have picked up. So a lot of schools that were in those low numbers have now notified us that they are going to spend those funds. And so we're excited about that. But as soon as we know we know what funds will be available and get approval from our Vice President of Finance here at the system office, then we will notify the colleges. And the other thing that I want to mention is that we have provided a link. Okay, you're asking for a link for the Golden Leaf dashboard again. That link is in the presentation, in the resource area, and you will get this presentation after this meeting. So we'll send it to you after the meeting. In addition, we're going to share the link to the survey. You're going to get the survey link in 3 different ways. You're going to get an email later on this afternoon, if nothing happens, from us with the survey link telling you, it'll have the survey where you will log in to complete it. It shouldn't take you more than maybe 15 minutes to complete the survey. You get the link there. You'll get it in the back of this presentation in the resource area. And we're going to put the link to the survey in the chat box. So you'll have it very soon. Dr. Evans is working on that right now. Okay, do we have any other questions that I can read? Okay, there's a question about CE. It says, please expand on eligibility criteria for CE students regarding working and earning wages at our below 200% of federal poverty guidelines. It is my understanding that the federal poverty levels are based on household size. The Golden Leaf application does not ask applicants to specify household size. So how do we implement verifying this eligibility criteria? Also, do we need to verify the whole household income or just the student's applicant's income? So I'm going to pause for just a moment. And do you?
Katie, regarding the 200% below poverty level, yes, that is one of the criteria components. I think as of 2018, I believe the poverty level was at little greater than 25,000 for a family of 4 that included 2 children. So we know, of course, that is one moving target, but that is not the only thing that you should be dependent upon for making those determinations for CE students and eligibility, because we know for the most part that our CE students are not required to complete a FAFSA. Golden Leaf does not require that. They just want to make sure that you have some guidelines in place for making sure that you are making awards to students who are looking to better themselves career-wise through one of our fast-paced programs that would lead to greater employment for them. So I hope that this answered your question. You can kind of tweak or make those requirements fit your institution. But again, the 200% below the poverty level is only one component for Golden Leaf determination for CE students.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay. Any feedback? Okay, so this question is from Joey. Is it Joey?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'll address that.
Okay. So Brenda I'm gonna read this question. It's from Joey. It says, any feedback of when we will get the additional child care funds that we were informed were being sent on January the 28th?
Joey, I'm going to, if Dr. White is done with Golden Leaf, I will move to my section,
Yes.
which will talk a little bit about some of our state grant programs, including child care. Next slide. Okay, so just a little bit of information today about some of our state grant programs. The North Carolina Child Care Grant Program being the first one. You all did receive an allotment for the 21-22 year. Of course, that you had one amount prior to January, but there was an additional amount that came out in January. Our state leaders approved a little more than $3 million in child care grant funds. This additional $1.2 million that has been referred to a couple times in the chat is a one-time non-recurring increase, unless of course we know that our state decides differently, to help our single parents attending colleges. Now, as of this date, I am not sure why you haven't received it in your colleges 112. I can certainly check with our state aid office downstairs to see when that monies will be sent to your business offices 112 accounts. So Joey, I will get back with you on that. That is not a student services area, but I will certainly make sure that I reach out to the state aid office downstairs to get a response back to you on that. And just want to point out to you that a child care provider, of course, is a person, a business, or an organization that is providing child care services to its clients and customers. So some examples of child care providers would include, of course, our licensed daycare centers, individual providers, unlicensed child care providers, the parent of the student that's attending college, of course, a personal nanny, any before, after school, and even summer programs. And I want to make sure that I, bring that up to you today, because a lot of our reports from past years have indicated that you've not spent a lot of your child care grant monies because either you couldn't find a suitable provider, you thought that they had to be licensed or whatever. Just know that those requirements have been lifted somewhat, and a complete listing of child care providers can be found on the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services webpage if you will just click on or search for child care providers. So that's just a list of some of the acceptable child care providers, because the intent with this increase in allocation, it is to make sure that our students who need child care assistance are actually being given some options and making college a more accessible and affordable option to them. Management of funds. just making sure that you all are colleges, it is important to know that the funds have to be dispersed directly to the provider and not to the student. And in addition to making sure that the funds are managed properly, you want to make sure that an invoice accompanies the request for payment, along with a copy of the student's class attendance. That is important. Services for childcare cannot be provided in advance or before services have been received. And any charges must be reasonable. For example, if you know that the ABC Child Care Center down the street charges $250 a week for child care services, and your mom, the mom of the student, is keeping the child, and she's requested payment of $550 for the week, that is an unreasonable cost. So all costs for any provider has to be in a line with it has to be an average cost or in line with maybe a local child care center. So reporting requirements. Now, in the past, we have asked that you all report to us minimal information, but this year the General Assembly has asked that we ask for additional information from you all. So in addition to the number of child care grant applications that you all received, I'm going to make sure that I get this information out to you. The General Assembly has asked that we ask also that you provide us with the amount of grant funds that have been requested. That is your allotment, and it would be your total allotment as of the approved budget that came out on January 28th. The total number of applications that you all have approved, that have been approved for child care assistance, the total amount of child care grant awards. And a lot of this is information that you've reported to us anyway in the past, but and also the average amount of grant awards for child care expenses and the types of child care that were used. This is a new request, so whether they are being cared for by an individual, a daycare center, an after school or summer program, we're going to need to know that information. So I know that a lot of your offices don't handle the child care funds. They may be handled in another area. It is important that the financial aid office have some part in this. So you want to make sure that you are partnering with those other offices so that we can get this information that we need. A report format will be sent to you all prior to the due date of July 29th of 2022. That date has been moved out some because we recognize that you've got some summer programs that don't end until maybe end of July, somewhere in there. And I know if you are paying services after the term ends or after the services have been provided, that this date may not even work for you. So I ask that if you find, as when I send this information out, that you've still got students who are using child care services and you find that the June 29th date does not work for you, I ask that you let me know so that I can make some adjustments for you. But our final report that we have to provide to the state is going to be due on the 1st of December. So it's very important that we communicate with each other to make sure that we're meeting these deadlines. But again, for the to make sure that you have gotten your allocation, I will certainly check on that for all 58 to make sure that those monies are on their way out the door, or just exactly what the process is, and I will share a response with the community. If we can move to that next, looks like there's a question. Anyone having problems awarding child care grant? Our students are not applying. And Candace, we will actually put allow others to respond to you on that, because I think you've got some flexibility, some ways that you can kind of announce your child care program with the student, and also just knowing that, you know, there's some great flexibilities now in the way that you can award. An individual can be paid. Doesn't necessarily mean that the student has to be attending full time. So just look at your institutional practices and see where you can kind of bend a little bit to make accommodations for students who are attending your colleges. And yes, the funds can be used in the summer. Keep in mind that our reporting date has been extended. It used to be reporting for child care grant used to be June 30. We've pushed it out to July 29th, just to make sure that we're able to accommodate our summer terms. I hope that answered your question, Beverly. And let's see, trying to read from a distance. The eyes are getting older. I apologize. The pickle about summer programs is that parents have to prepay for their child to attend. If we can't pay for services until they are rendered, and we can't pay parents retroactively, then funding programs in the summer is impossible. I understand, but Joey, we are actually, that is a requirement. It is actually in the child care grant allotment that you received, the information that I provided to you back in January, and it states that retroactive payments are parents cannot, or services cannot be paid for in advance. So we can certainly take that back to our state leaders and issue that as a concern. If others share the same concern, please let me know. There's sometimes power in numbers. So if we can get more people to agree with that concern, it may mean making a change to our child care grant program. And our business office wants to send the money back by June 30. So I can tell them that they don't have to at this time, since it has been extended. Reporting has been extended until July 29th, unless you need additional time. And I will confirm this with our state office downstairs, because final reporting, if final reporting is not due until December 1st, that does give you additional time to make sure that you're taking care of the needs of our students. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so next is the Community College Grant and Education Lottery Scholarship Program. We have prepared our request for approval for the 22-23 year. That is going to State Board on Thursday, tomorrow, for approval. And once that is approved, of course, I will send a copy out to the colleges no later than Friday after it is approved, or by Monday, March 21st. So you will have that in your hands, that list, Community College Grant and also Education Lottery. This year, and this is just some information beforehand, is that for the Community College Grant, you're going to see an increase of $200 across all EFC ranges. And that includes even the 15 credit hours or more. So that would go, the 15 hours or more goes from $800 to $1,000. However, with all increases, there's not an increase in the Education Lottery Scholarship. That one actually decreased this year by $64. So on average, the example that I have provided here, and you will see that in the approved budget, is that for a student with an EFC range between $2,501 and $2,600, that student will see a Pell Grant award of $3,945, of course, based on full-time enrollment, an education lottery scholarship in the amount of $432, and the community college grant with the $200 increase, $642. So a total award offer of $5,019 as opposed to last year's award in which the Pell Grant remained at $39.45 for full-time enrollment. It's a slight increase of about $138. So next slide, please. And it's going to be the same with targeted assistance and less than half-time grant. That one is actually going before the state board on tomorrow for approval, for review and approval. I just want to share this with you that in 2011, the targeted assistance and less than half-time funds were actually combined. For all of our seasoned professionals that have been there for a while, you probably remember that there was a certain amount that you had to spend for targeted assistance and a little bit that was there for less than half-time. Well, now those pots have been combined and it's one award or one grant program. So you can use it all for targeted assistance or you can use it all for less than half-time. But we do encourage you all to use those monies. We ask that, you kind of look at your student population and see who would best qualify for these type grant programs. In the past years, we've returned as little as $40,000 and as much as about $80,000. And it's really difficult to explain to our state leaders that we are sending money back when we are, still wanting to make sure that we are serving our students as best we can. So make sure that you are using those monies as best you can to meet the needs of our students. Make sure that for awarding priority that you're looking at those low enrollment programs, including some of your new programs that have low numbers of enrollment. It kind of boosts those areas. And also take a look at your non-Title IV eligible certificate programs that could use some of these, students could use some of these funding. And also students that are enrolling less than half-time. And last but not least, and I know I put it on a survey last year, those students that have been referred by vocational rehabilitation services. And I know it's a tough area for us. We can't always ask our students if they have been referred, but just in casual conversation, or if you can work with maybe some of your other areas on campus and possibly identify some of those students that would qualify, it would certainly help us in being able to explain to our state leaders that there's a need for actually funding for vocational rehabilitation services or students with some type disability. And last but not least, on targeted assistance and less than half-time, I know in our past scholarship guides we list $30 per credit hour. Well, we know that tuition is $76 per credit hour. It's a long way from $30. Still very affordable, but make sure that you're using the $76 per credit hour as opposed to the $30 that's in the scholarship guide. Scholarship guide for 2022 and going forward will be updated with our current cost of tuition. And for this one as well, the reporting deadline has been moved to July 29th of 2022. That will give you additional time to make sure that you're able to kind of connect and award those students who are enrolling less than half-time in some of our programs for the summer. Next slide, please. I believe it should be questions. Any feedback, follow-up and feedback regarding any of the information that we have provided today, Golden Leaf and Longleaf Complete should go to Dr. Wanda White. Anything beyond that would go to me, and any feedback that you would have about any of the information that we have provided here today, just how we're doing, please direct that to our Associate Vice President of Student Services, Dr. J.W. Kelly. Our email and also phone information is provided here on the link. And it looks like someone has put in the chat, can you repeat where we can get the updated child care guidance? The updated child care guidance is going to be on the resource page that we have here in the presentation, and this information will be provided to you today, no later than tomorrow. So it does list our state aid allocations and budget policies. I don't remember right offhand the page that page number for child care, but I will make sure that I put it in the resources page before I send it to you, because that the budget policies and state aid allocations, I think that's a very lengthy document. I sent it to you all about a month or so ago with the page number, but I will be happy to provide that information to you again. Okay, looks like we have gone over our time today. If there are any burning questions, if you will unmute yourself or put it in the chat, we will take a few more minutes to address your questions.
Okay, you have a question that says that they can't access the GL dashboard with the link that has been provided in the presentation.
The Golden Leaf dashboard that's in the presentation, it should be accurate, but I will certainly double check that one to be sure. If not, past presentation, I believe it was in January when we had Dr. Ashley Seaman and Elizabeth Stoddard on, they provided the link to the Golden Leaf dashboard there as well. But I will certainly double check mine for the one that I have provided for accuracy. Okay. And yes, I did say that you should be using $76 per credit hour versus $30 for less than half time, Beverly. And Dory says that she tried the one in the January presentation and it doesn't work. I will confirm that and make sure that I get the correct link out to all 58 today or at the time that this presentation is sent to you all as well. And do we have a login or do we create an account? You should not need a login because it is a public, it's public Tableau. So you should not need a login, Jason.
Maybe Elizabeth can send it to you, that link again, and
I
we can
will.
send it out.
Yeah, I will check with our research and performance management team and make sure that, and they may have to be the ones that send it out to you. But we'll certainly get it out to you. Not seeing any more questions in the chat and nobody's unmuted. We're going to call it a day. I want to thank you all for your time, for your attention, for your feedback, and always for any information that you can provide to our colleges that help them along the way. We're all in this together, and teamwork does certainly make the dream work. Make your day an awesome one, and reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.